pixie dust and get this stream rolling. From the land of crab cakes and purple pride, left Maryland behind for that castle ride. Now he's baking up joy in the Florida sun, with a sprinkle of faith and a whole lot of fun. He's the Disney baker, making hearts rise high, with a pin in his hand and a sparkle in his eye. From Main Street smiles to magical streams, he's stirring up Disney and chasing big dreams. Called peace, love, and a pixie dust hug. If you're feeling low, come and get unplugged. Let the laughter rise and the worries fall down. We're trading some pins and turning things around. He's got Mickey on the mic and pins to share, and friends by his side with love in the air. You never know who's gonna drop by the stream, but we're rolling with magic. Team Dream Team. Y'all, this one glows in the dark, but I might need just one more churro. Hey, have you hugged a cast member today? On the hard days when the smile's a little late, he's lifting hearts up with a little bit of faith. Encouraging words and laughter that stays like a hug wrapped in cinnamon glaze. Oh, he's the Disney baker with a heart so wide. We're spreading joy coast to coast like a magic carpet ride. From Epcot nights to pinboard thrills, he's chasing dreams through castle-filled hills. Oh, peace, love, and a pixie dust hug. Till we meet in person, you're never unplugged. So wave goodbye with a smile and a wow, 'cause the baker's magic is here and now.
TTF and ta-ta for now. Peace, love, and pixie dust hugs.
Pixie dust hugs.
We'll have to do until we meet in person.
The fun starts in 3, 2, 1.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Pin Layer. This is Chris, the Disney Baker. How was your Sunday? Oh my gosh. I tell you, now that I'm no longer employed at the Walt Disney World Company as being retired. Hello, Sam Eagle. What's going on, Theo? Good to see you. Filling my day, I thought would kind of be a little difficult, but right at the beginning, no, I'm definitely staying busy. So it's just one thing after another. Hey, thank you, Eric. Mystic Parks, everybody. Thanks, pal. I appreciate you. Hello, the baker's wife. Thanks, everyone, for being here. We have an amazing interview coming up for you tonight. And I wore this shirt just for that event and for this event, and just to give him some credit. And trading pins is a lot of what I do. Everybody knows that here. And you'll get to know Richard a little bit better as we bring him on. Let's say hello to everyone that's come in. Hello, Katie Y. Did someone say pins? Exactly. Hello, Jason. Welcome in. Hello, Eric. How are you? Thanks for coming in. Theo, Sam Eagle, thanks for being here. All my subscribers, all my moderators, and especially all my members, thank you so much for supporting us. And thanks for being here. Cruise and theme park guys, Sierra, what's going on? Gonzo, my brother Gonzo is here. Thanks, good to see you, Gonzo. And so tonight we're going to talk about, as Katie just put up, did someone say pins? But we're also going to talk about how other people get involved in pin trading and some specialty pins or some specialty things, and then what blooms from that, and how all of this pin trading community, how we all stay together and how we all get to know each other and we see each other at pin events and things like that. So without further ado, I would like to bring in Richard, and he is Figment Guy Pins. Hello, Richard. How are you?
Good, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate the shirt too. Thank you.
You're welcome. I do tie-dye and I like Figment, so it's kind of like 50-50 there. So and then this is not my original name tag, but I do wear it when I go to the parks and get second looks. So Richard, I just want to start. Let's start out with the first question I had. Um, what was your first interaction with Disney?
First interaction with Disney that I can kind of like tell the story, and it kind of ties back to Figment also. So when the ride opened up, the summer of 1983 was the first time I was 2 years old. My mom said that she took me on Journey into Imagination, the original one with Dreamfinder, and I was kicking my feet the whole time. I was loving it. And we left and we went to the gift shop. Well, at the gift shop, of course, they used to have a pyramid of stuffed animals. So she pushes me over there, and there is a Figment stuffed animal. And I think actually right there. So he's right up there. And so I basically grabbed it, started slobbering on it, and she said I had to buy it at that point. So it's literally been that the whole time. My mom really installed kind of a Disney Disney love from the beginning. She loved Disney. She loved the park. She loved coming here. We weren't from the Florida area, so we would travel. We're originally from Ohio, up in the Cleveland area. So we would travel down, and sometimes it'd be once a year, sometimes it'd be twice a year. And it's just the love of the parks grew, and it's always kind of been a part of my life. And yeah.
Okay. All right. When so that's when Figment first began, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you started as you got older, do you have any? I guess you just started your collection when you started cutting grass or getting odd jobs and allowance.
So, especially with not even just pins, but in general, like when we would come on vacation, my souvenir, because Julie collects magnets. My wife Julie, my best half. Um, she collects like magnets. That was the thing she would get. And when I was traveling here, and even when I was with my parents, pins, I would buy pins, and that was my souvenir. And it kind of just it escalated from there, but that's kind of like that was my thing that I got whenever we came on vacation. I'd look for a new pin, and it was always a Figment or even old school Epcot. Like I'm a big fan of not just even Figment, but old school Epcot. Everything from World of Motion, Horizons, all that. That's my wheelhouse. That's the stuff that I love. But Figment was just kind of the thing that really stuck.
So is there, other than your very first one, would be your next most memorable Figment piece you have?
I mean the stuffed animals definitely up there. Let me grab. I'll actually grab it because I got it sitting right here.
Sure.
I thought this might happen. So I have been gifted. Whoops! I moved it. I had it sitting right there. It definitely got. Oh, there it is. I moved it, and of course, I remembered where it was and not where it is. So I have a bad thing that when I go to pin events, since I have every Figment pin and I have no Figment pins to trade for, I either end up trading for stuff that isn't pin related, or I'm gifted things that are not pin related. And this is actually a WDI name badge or a badge from the refurbishment of Journey into Imagination.
Wow.
So it's one of those pieces that the lady's husband, she goes to the pin events all the time. Her husband worked on the ride, and she's like, I thought you would love it. Now this is kind of the weird because this is the re-theme where they took Figment and Dreamfinder pretty much and One Little Spark completely out of the ride, but it's still one of those pieces that it was kind of one of those first times that someone kind of put two and two together that I liked Figment, and it was something that was sitting in their closet, and their husband had passed, and they thought it would just be something that I would just, and it's a piece that I cherish kind of more than anything.
Oh, that That's it's being, um, and just, you know, now that I'm part of this Disney community, I call it, from YouTube to pin trading, things like that. Um, and you hear stories similar to yours, that people just think of something and they just want to make your day a little bit more special by letting you know they thought of you. You know, and I think that's what's it's extra special about this community, um, in general. You know, it's
I
people.
agree 100%. I remember the first time I stood on the other side of a table at a pin event and asking, or basically asking somebody to trade with me. And I remember not thinking my pins weren't that great. You know, looking back, they weren't bad, but they weren't the greatest pins in the world. And I remember, I think about that moment now when I sit at the table and I am talking to a kid who's just getting into pin trading. And, you know, if I can, you know, I just remember probably it wasn't the last event, it was the event before, but I had a girl come up to me and, you know, she said the reason she collects Figment is because of me. And I mean, that's the best compliment anyone could ever give anybody. And I had an LE 250 Figment and WDI. It was a gorgeous pin, and it was in the case. It's probably valued at $125. I told her, pick any pin you want. I don't care what pin you want to trade me. Pick any pin out of your book, and I'll trade it because she's never going to forget that. It's about building that next generation too, that has an appreciation for pins, but then also has like can show that same empathy, hopefully at some point in time, and pass that on to someone else.
I love that. I love that. And a lot of that goes on. A
A
lot of
lot,
that
yes.
happens. A lot of that happens. I've seen it at two of the trading events that I was with where you were at. I saw that, and it was and I do it myself,
Hmm.
and it's just because it's that blue. It's that new. I don't know how to put it. It's something that they just it's new for them,
Hmm.
and if and that one interaction that you made with her, you know, that I've made with people before, that I've seen people make with people, and I just kind of I tilt my head and I go, that's the good,
That's what
you
it's
know.
about.
And when you
That's
go back and you think about why Walt did what Walt did, that's why. And
mhm.
then and we all can connect to that. um can share your feeling, adding on to what you just said, of just pin collecting and pin trading in general.
I mean, it's a hobby. It's that's the easiest way to say it. It is, but it is they are collectibles. And I think sometimes that is forgotten in the community. You know, it's I jokingly say sometimes where somebody will say, "Oh, you know, well, pins are expensive." I mean, they've been expensive for the whole time I've been in pins. You know, if it's a rarity or whatever it may be. So I think people coming in and kind of just learning the ropes, since we live in an instant gratification world at the moment, I feel like everyone wants to be an expert 5 minutes into it. And it took me time. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort to just pick things up. You know, there's different things that I'm hoping that they're going to do. I love pin trading in the parks. Like I love walking in the boards and talking to the cast. Like that's the best part of the day. Like if you're not going in and putting cast compliments in for cast members that you've had a great interaction with, start today because that's the best thing that can make their day, and they've made your day already, you know, nine out of 10 times. So I think some of the changes that they could possibly be doing to pin trading in the parks to just hopefully elevate it. I've liked what I heard. So hopefully, you know, that can kind of get back to where it was at one point in time. But just that interaction piece, and whether it's an event or whether it's that connection between people, and hopefully you're getting something that you want, and hopefully I'm getting something that I want, and we're both happy at the end of the day. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. If a trade goes well on both ends, you're both happy, you know, and I think the hardest pill for some people to swallow coming into it is you don't always have to say, you know, yes to a trade. You know, if you can say no, you're not going to hurt anyone's feelings if you have to say no to a trade. Um, and that's I think that's sometimes coming in the two best pieces of advice I give to people are you can say no to a trade and pick one character, one theme, or one movie because all pins are pretty, and you'll have a problem if you don't try to stick to that.
I definitely can relate to that. Because I at the beginning I didn't. You know, it was, you know, a long time ago, and we took our kids and we got them lanyards and we went, boom, go. And this is back 2004. So, and it was like we were still living out of state, so we were only coming down, you know, every other year. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes every 2 years, once every 2 years, something like that. And I'd remind them, don't forget your pins, and they would go to, you know, they had little tiny pin boards. Mickey was holding a pin board. I think a little statue Mickey was holding one. They would go take all their pins off, put them back on their lanyards, and then we come to the parks. But then it was it for me it was the same. It was, you know, I've never had an interaction with with an employee. We'll say employee outside of Disney like I did with cast members inside of Disney.
Exactly.
You know, and it was that conversation that we had before we came on that we had with Scoop Sanderson, Holland Hayes.
Yes.
We both traded with him, and I told him straight up, and I said, you know, the reason I continued doing this was the interaction that I had with you. And then we rekindled that friendship back in April, and it was fantastic. And I was so excited to have him come on and be my first interview on the channel here, as interviewing people with the same likes and focus and things that I like to do. And it was one of those things where I would go and I'd be sitting on the bus. We leave the resort, and I would take some extra pins with me, and I would take like some Cars pins or some Star Wars pins, and I put them in this pocket. And I would take some Princess pins and put them in this pocket. And then when I would see like somebody on, you know, with their little girl with their lanyard or something, I would just go, I'd lean over to the dad and I go, is it okay if I give her a pin? And I, sure. I said, here. And then she goes, well, which one do you want? And I'm like, no, it's okay, you know. But I've also had people come up that I've done trades with and came up and, here, I want you to have this. And I went, no, it's okay. I wanted you to have that. He goes, no, but I want you to have this. And then it just melts your heart. You know, it really does.
It's a very giving community. When it's in the right mind space, it's the best, you know. And the community is very, you know, very understanding to, you know, like what is going on, you know. So it's a very smart community. We were talking about it, even though it's the little tiny kind of minuscule piece of Disney in general, you know, because there's so many subgenres and it's a little piece of it, but the community is very strong in the pin community.
So with that being said, you know, being strong was when you started, and can I ask what year you started trading?
When we were coming down here, kind of like you, out of state, started trading, like actually trading on boards and stuff like that, around 2007-ish.
Okay.
So it was like 2007, 2008-ish, right around there. We were coming down with the kids and everything and traded, and they were, you know, we had their lanyards and everything, and I had mine, and it was a fun activity to do in between rides. That's what it kind of started out as, and I think that's how it starts for a lot of people. But yeah, it's when we started doing that, it just kind of grows from there. The more you kind of get into it and find out just what's available. Because half of it is, I think, discovering that it's not just the hidden Mickeys that are on the boards. It's a whole nother world at that point.
If you can recall, what has been your most memorable pin trade?
Ooh.
Park and outside of park.
So inside of the park, my favorite trade There's a cast member that I go trade with at Epcot, and I see her all the time. And it's not even so much about trading. I just like to refresh her board. And I will go into that park, and I can't even count how many times I've put pins and taken fake pins off the boards, bent the backs, threw them in the garbage. And it's been so many times. And so what when I go visit her, she takes pride in her board. And she really kind of, that's it's a sense of pride to her that her board looks good. And she's always like, you can't film my board, it doesn't look good, it's not show ready yet. And I say, okay,
Shit
let's get it
ready.
show ready, and then we'll film it. But it's I love that aspect, and I've just had the interactions that I've had with her. And even I call it the wall that used to be at Epcot. So when the pin shop was in the middle of kind of where the Walt statue is right now,
Correct. Yeah.
um, there was a wall on the side that we had to go stand on, and that's where we all set up. And I've met some of my best friends that are still my friends to this day, because we went and hung out on a Saturday, and we just connected by trading pins. And there are people that still come to my pin events, people that still, are I talk to on a daily basis. I message back and forth with them on a daily basis. I go meet up with them every Wednesday when I'm off, and we'll go wander the parks. It's become a thing that it's something that has kind of connected us together. And just the memories that I have from that and trading on that wall in the park are like two of my big ones. Outside the parks, there's been a million of them, but I remember, speaking of Holland, um, I had one Figment pin that I was refusing to get, and I refused to get it for one reason, because, well, number one, it was really expensive, but the other reason is that Figment is kind of on it, but he's not really a source of it. It was an event that he was on like every one of the pins. So I have them, but I'm not like in love with any of them because he's not on the pin really. But it's the basically scoop with the board, a pin board behind him. It's a big jumbo. It's a beautiful pin, and I bought the pin from him because it was his personal one. He signed it, gave it to me, and I have that picture on my phone, and it's never going to be deleted. It was one of the happiest moments because I looked up to him so much that was one of those moments that it just like it felt full circle at that point. Like it was going to the right place. And I've had moments where I've traded to people, and you just get that vibe that this pin is going to its forever home, and you help them get that pin to their forever home. And there's nothing better than that. And when they send you the pictures of it on the wall or on the board, that they put it up, or in a box, or whatever it may be, it's just that's the best feeling that I can get from trading with anybody, is that they've got a pin that they're going to cherish, hopefully forever.
I like that because you just did one recently. You just added a pin to your wall,
I
and I
Yeah,
watched
yeah.
I watched that, and um, it's and I think what you said, that particular one was not a Disney pin, but it is a Figment pin.
And that happens where somebody has a fantasy pin, and I see it, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome.
For
Um,
those that don't know, can you
mhm.
explain what fantasy pins are?
A fantasy pin is a fan made pin that's from somebody that does not have a Disney license. So it is basically an unauthorized Disney pin at that point. And it can have any sort of limited edition of this or that, but it is not an official Disney pin. And I have some on my board. I've been gifted a ton because people are like, I made a Figment pin. It'd be an honor for it to be on the board. And then there's some that I just see that I fall in love with, and I'm like, I hope Disney maybe makes an official version of this at some point in time. But if they don't, it's I always find it's a nice. The quality on them is gorgeous, but yeah, that's the last one I put on the board was a fantasy pin. But I think at the 25th anniversary, I have 10 Figment pins that they attacked me with that I got to put on the board and find space for at this point.
So is it, would it be truthful to say that every Disney Figment pin that's been made, you have one?
Every single official released Disney pin, I have one of. I mean, there's all the way down to LE10, LE25. There's an LE25 frame set that it's the funniest. Like that story is a whole story in itself about how I got it, and I knew where 7 of the 25 were at one point in time, and basically just tracking of who's going to officially get it to me at some point, hopefully, like if like who's going to part with it at maybe at some point, and just trying to work a whole bunch of different figuring out how I could get it. But it just, and it was the most random thing. And I said that's the other thing about the pin community, and the reason I used to put it out there, and I'm probably one of the first people with social media that put it out there that like I'm looking to complete. These are the ones I need, and I would get messages every other day of I have this one. It's not something in my collection. I'll trade you for it, or if you want to purchase it, it's this much. I had that was like, and it became a thing. I had somebody that reached out to me at one point in time, and they were like, I have 57 of your In Search ofs, and that took me down to I think it was under 30 at that point that I needed.
Wow.
And that took me from like 80 something down to like 30. And it was hilarious because like they still come to our pin events. They were getting out of pins at that point, and they're still coming to our pin events, and they're still getting tables, and we go eat breakfast with them every once in a while. It's one of those things we just formed a friendship out of pins, and a kind of a love for Figment at that point also.
It's funny, as you're speaking and you're telling something and you're smiling, it's almost like I'm looking in a mirror, because I get that same smile and I get that same excitement, and mine, again, mine, it's all over the place, and it still is, and that's fine. But when people ask me, how do you remember what pins you have and what pins you don't, I said, because the majority of the pins that I collected when I got them, it was by cast member.
Mhm.
And it was that interaction that we talked about earlier.
Yep.
So, and going a step further, and you had mentioned the social media. So let me just scroll down here, and I pulled some numbers. You have the underscore Figment underscore Guy on
Yes.
Instagram, and you have 33,000 followers.
That it escalates quickly. But I will say this: we've been very lucky to kind of be ahead of the game on some of these things, or a step in front of the game. It's kind of how it works with like, especially with the Facebook group. That's a whole nother thing.
Well,
But
the numbers
the
on your Facebook group, and if I may, your Facebook group, it's Pin Trading Disney,
Mhm.
and 119,000 members.
Yes,
119,000 members. That's huge.
I remember me, Julie, and my buddy Mason were the first three, and I said I'm going to create this group because I wanted a place that people that were new could come and learn. And I think we still to this day do that. And I think the one thing that I get most aggravated about in the group is when somebody who's been there for a long time gets aggravated that somebody new is asking a question. And I people are always there's always going to be a new person, and I want to feel this way that I felt when I came in. I had some people that I would talk to and just were wealths of knowledge, and they just spread that knowledge, and to a point that's what has to happen. Like the next generation needs to learn from somebody, and it's not going to be just me. There's so many people in this community that are absolutely fantastic, and they're wealths of knowledge. I think if they really kind of pinpoint it down, like the Facebook group, we were like getting back to that. We were a step ahead with that. It just people were joining and they liked the vibe of the group. And that's the thing is you're trying to protect people also so that they don't get scammed from things and stuff like that. So sometimes you do have to have rules that you have in place because there are things that happened previously and you're trying to protect those members from things that have happened in the past. And I think that can get misconstrued sometimes. But then, it led into Instagram. I just started posting pin content on Instagram, and it's always been pin content. When new flyers would come out every month, I'd post the new flyers and then it just got into thing. And I mean, I remember when we on Whatnot, they literally hounded us for 3 months to go on there. And just because of the Facebook group, they were like, you got this Facebook group. We think you'd love doing this. And it's kind of given me that outlet, kind of like you probably feel by doing this, that it gives you an outlet to just talk sometimes
Does.
about something that you're passionate about. And I am passionate about pins. I like pins. It's a hobby, but I feel like it's more than that at this point. And it's something that, I've chosen. And I always find it funny. My mom got into golfing because my dad liked golfing. My wife has gotten into pins because I like pins, but she has become the absolute like shining beacon of just pin trading and just a wealth of knowledge that I would trust her over some experts, that have been in it for 20 years. And just because she's jumped into it wholeheartedly because it was my thing that I liked. And then what more can you ask from a partner, in life? So, that's it's kind of we've hit the right strides at the right time. And it's kind of just gelled, and it's a little bit of luck and a lot of hard work. Like we didn't even with the whole selling on Whatnot, we started it's been 3.5 years now. Like we didn't start it yesterday.
Well, I'll tell
Yeah.
you, I was getting some information together, and your Whatnot is all one word, Figment Guy pins,
Mhm.
and you have 34,200 followers. But the one thing I noticed that I hear in this community of social media all the time is consistency, consistency, consistent. Be consistent.
Yes.
You have pin shows scheduled through, if I'm not mistaken, August of next year already. On what?
Yes.
On Whatnot? August of next year.
It's
It's consistency.
I'll give you an example. I love The Office. I watched it every time it came on NBC. I was there to watch it live when it went live. So we live in a streaming world but you can stream whenever you want. But consistency is key, and that's one of the biggest things I would tell people is pick a time. If that time works for you and it works with your schedule, be consistent with it. Pick a day, pick a time, and just stick with it. People will then know the consistency of that you're going to be on or whatever it may be. And so just kind of staying in that kind of, like you almost say, the constant, you're just, well, no matter what it is, it's always like a consistent thing that you're going to be on. And I pride myself in trying to show new pins every single solitary time. Like I wanted, I am are you going to repeat pins? Of course.
Sure.
It's just how it is. But I pride myself in trying to show different things, and talk a little bit about it. That little bit of like put a little bit of knowledge behind it. It's crazy what happens.
So it was probably, I'd say, close to a year ago. I was on my Whatnot, and I was just surfing, and you were doing a live, and I jumped in. And it literally blew my mind. Um, well, first off, the yin and yang that you and Julie have. That's just it so works, and she's right there. And
Can you tell we've
bounce
been
off
married
each other.
for 20? Can you tell we've been married for 22 years?
I can, yeah, because and and I can't remember what pin I specifically bought from you. But what I did like about it was that you sent a card with a discount. for the next time I purchase something. And you sent this. And this has been on my desk since I literally opened that, because I opened that envelope sitting here at my desk, and I put it right on my desk. And I've got probably 4, maybe 5 other stickers here from friends of mine that have YouTube channels. And that sits here. And when I sit at that, it's I see it behind you. I see the drawing. And then I come to a show, and then there was someone drawing behind a table sitting right next to you. And she was making sketches. And if I'm not mistaken, was that one of your daughters?
So the logo you see, of course, you see the rug. This was gifted to us by, someone who is a great person in the community. But they loved the logo and they wanted to put it on a rug. And we were like, what are we going to do with a rug to put on the floor? And Julie's like, let's hang it. So when my daughter was 16 years old, my oldest daughter, Lizzie, I gave her an idea of what I wanted it to look like. And I gave a rough idea of what it is. She took pictures of the front of my face and my side profile and all that stuff. That kid at 16 years old made that. And it blew me away to a point that I don't think you have proud parent moments. It was better than I could have ever expected. And she's a junior in art college right now. And it was that piece or the thing that I was like, this kid could do this for a living. And
she's very talented.
They're all 3 of my children besides Julie, the best thing that's ever happened to me. You raise 3 kids exactly the same and you get 3 completely different people, and they are all amazing in their own right. But that was that moment that for Lizzie specifically, I was like, man, like this kid can do something with this. And it's one of those things, the discount. I've worked in retail since I was 16. I started at Toys R Us, and then I was a store manager with Sears for many years, and so on and so forth. And I still work in retail to this day. And that retail, like, how are you going to get somebody to come back to you? That mindset, I can't shut that off. I was used to looking at profit and loss reports all day long. How can you make the most with what you have? How can so I did that for a living. And it's still to this day, I don't really do that anymore, but that's what I did. And so kind of took the same kind of concept of all those years and kind of filtered it into doing this with something I was very passionate about. And so just like, if I wanted you to come back, number one, I have to make you feel welcome. That's the thing, is like, you come into the show, you don't get, radio host DJ Rich. You're getting the guy you're going to talk to across from the table at a pin event. You're getting the guy that you're going to talk to when you go to the parks. If you see me just wandering in the parks at Epcot, because I'm probably going to be at Epcot. And so that's what you get. And I think I can say that I go to sleep at night and I know that that's what you're going to get 100% of the times. We're about as the most genuine people you'll ever meet in your whole entire life. And I take pride in that, because I want people to understand, like, I do this to, like, help my kids get through college right now, because I think in this world that we live in, if my kids can run through college and enter the world debt free with a college education, I've done my part. And so that's where I'm at right now. How can I best help them maneuver and start getting into life at this point? So
Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing.
thank you.
I because and I'll say this about this, and I know it's behind you, but and I'll call your daughter an artist for an artist to capture, and I know she was looking at pictures, and I know she knows you, and I know she knows your passion, to capture all of that comes out in this. Your excitement, your passion, where just the way you're holding Figment, that I'm not going to let you fall. I've got you. Let's go have some fun. It's like one of those, and that's what I see in this. That's what I saw in that, and I just wanted to share that with you. And I I I don't generally save every sticker that I get from people that I meet, but that one I definitely wanted to talk about, and because I see it behind you, I see it when I go to the shows, and I thought there was something strong, but I didn't know that that was made from your daughter until just now. So that's
I'm glad I could share that story, because it means, like, when people talk about the logo, and it's not just me, I'm with Figment and I'm the Figment guy, blah, blah, blah. It means so much more to me, than I think I could ever even say, just because it was done with, and I could tell the passion she put into it, and she wanted it to be, perfect. And maybe she didn't think it was perfect. It's perfect. To me, it's absolutely, it's perfect. So yeah.
coming from dad to her means the world.
Mhm.
And I can understand her aspect too. She wanted to make dad proud, and she definitely she did that. When you first started collecting Disney pins, what was life for you at that time?
Oh, well, I'll do a little. We moved down here about 8 years ago, and so pin trading kind of escalated. We had the we'll call it the pandemic happened, and a lot of people were getting out of pins at that point. And so, like, that world was different, because it saw a lot of really good people in the community start to exit out of the community. And that's kind of like the people that I met when I first got down here were starting to leave pin trading at that point. And that's, life was different back then. Life was a little more simpler, because you didn't have 3 shows a week on Whatnot. You didn't have the pin group. I have 26 moderators, and I probably need another 26 for the Facebook group, and they do an amazing job, and they're the best. Like, they literally are the best. And they, like, I've always jokingly said when I was a boss, like, the moderators keep stuff off my table sometimes,
Yeah.
so that, like, if it's a little thing here or there, they'll handle it and then tell me what happened. And I'm like, that's amazing. Like, that's one of the best things that can happen sometimes. And but it's like it's a whole another thing. Like, that's a full-time job. The Whatnots are a full-time job. The being a dad is a full-time job. The pin events that we run are a full-time job. The job that I work is a full-time job. So Julie and I are each doing like 5 or 6 full-time jobs, and that's kind of the life was a little more simpler when it was kind of starting. I will say that, like, life was a little bit more simpler, and I'll leave for the day, go to work, and not look at my messages at all, and come back, and I've got 60 plus messages of people wanting help to see if a pin is fake or real, or if this or that, just things with the group or whatever it may be. And I sit down in my chair, and I go on to my messenger, and I start trying to knock them out and go through the list and just talk to people. It's that customer service side of me that I don't think I could ever shut off from retail. Is I want to make sure, like, everyone had a good experience, or they kind of get the knowledge that they're looking for at that point. I think people that are really thirsty for it, I love investing my time into, because that it show they're passionate about it too, and they just want to learn a little bit more. So
I'm glad you touched on that because you do share a lot. I've watched your shows. You posted something a couple weeks back, and I have it sitting here to my left, and I never thought I would get it. And it was the coin microscope.
yes.
You were explaining And again, for those of you that don't know what scrappers are, they're not. We think they're being made by the same companies that are making the pins for Disney, but then maybe on some break or something, they're running a whole bunch that aren't, and they don't ever see the Disney pouch, to where can you explain that?
Yeah, so Disney has plates that go to all these factories that produce their pins for them. The problem is, and there's a big chunk of time where Disney never collected their plates back. And that's where we're really seeing a lot of if you're looking at eBay, you'll see, 50 tradable pins, and they are all fake pins. And the term fake and scrapper have kind of woven themselves together because there really are no scrappers anymore. Because the scrappers were the ones that they started making them. Disney was making them, and they didn't like how they were coming out, so then they get pushed aside and they still get sold off. That's a scrapper. A fake pin is just a counterfeit item. And right now we're dealing with mostly counterfeit items. It's 99.9999% counterfeit. It's being made, it's fake, it's coming from China, and it's coming from these eBay lots. So if you're buying 50 pins off of eBay that say tradable pins, unfortunately they are fake. And the boards are littered with them. And I think it's like an 80-20 split. 80% of the people are families on vacations that have no clue and are just doing something in between rides. But then there's 20% that know exactly what they're doing, and they're running around and gobbling up, the real pins off the boards, and they're trading fake pins onto the boards. And so there's easy telltale signs. I've done a lot of videos on them, but there's a lot of easy telltale signs where you can walk up to a board and maybe eliminate 80% of the pins just by glancing at the front of the pin and just seeing telltale signs. I'm lucky because I've seen a lot of the old cast lanyards, and I've seen the actual pin, or I've had it in my hands and I've dealt with it, and you know the differences or the color tones,
Right.
how they can be off. The red isn't exactly right, or whatever it may be. It's a shiny, soft enamel on the front of it. And so that microscope is a game changer when looking at the backs of pins. It's a literal absolute game changer, because you might be looking at hidden Mickey on the back, and it might be that hidden and Mickey are jammed together, or the one of 10, the spacing is the one and the of are like slapped on top of each other.
Right.
So there's little things like that that are hard to tell, that you can see instantly with that stuff. So I think I paid $35 for it. It's the best $35 I think I've ever spent.
I literally ordered it 5 seconds after I watched your video, and I went, "This is amazing. Why haven't I thought of that? I collect coins. I never thought of that. Collect coins. Okay, I have coins that I've collected. I don't collect coins. I have a couple in front of me that I've since have just put under there, and I was amazed what I saw. But the one you were specifically talking about is the new Mickey head that they put on the back of pins now. Explain how you explained that in that video.
So the cubic zirconias, they're 3 little stones that form a Mickey head on the back of it. And the cubic zirconias basically, at this point, they basically are there as a telltale sign. They were supposed to help the cast members. If you go to some of the thrift stores around here, you know that they sell nothing but fake pins.
Right.
So I will go there every once in a while to see like if something new has been faked. Or even if you're looking at the boards at Walt Disney World, you can tell. But there's some of these ones that are called the supporting cast ones, and nobody really knew or thought anything that those ones would be faked. Well, they've already started faking some of them. There's some easy telltale signs on them, but the number one thing on the telltale sign is when you flip it over and look at that Mickey on the back, the gems aren't connected. Right. You wouldn't really see it almost with the naked eye. To a point you can see it a little bit, but it's really bad. When you put it underneath there, it's glaring that those 3 stones aren't touching.
Right.
And this was something that Disney put in place to help the problem. But now we jokingly said in our moderator chat that we have with the Facebook group, we jokingly said, well, how long is it going to be until they fake it? Because it's unfortunately it is something they can do. But when you ultimately think of like all the pins that have come out in all the years, there's not that many that have actually been faked. That's the biggest misconception is everyone's like, is this pin fake? Is this pin fake? I still have people to this day that will ask a pin that they bought on Disney property, is it real or fake? I'm here to tell you all now. If you've ever bought a pin on Disney property, it's real. But that is a question that comes up because there is that fine line of between like knowledge and fear.
Sure.
And I don't ever want to go over that. It's more of like, this is what's in front of me. When I go and I film, like I'm looking at the boards, I'm filming and saying like, this is what's in front of me. I'm showing you what is in front of me. I'm not, you know, nothing one way or the other, but this is what's in front of me. All the pins on this board are fake, but I will say lately I've been seeing better boards at the parks. So it seems like some of the things that they're working on, they're progressively doing, I think are going to end up working in the long run, but it's going to take time. It's not something that will ever be fixed overnight.
So we've all come across what we can now call fake pins. When the 25th anniversary, Wave A came out, and it came out and it sold out.
Mm-hmm.
When the second wave of Wave A came out, there were some pins that people were questioning. The Haunted Mansion Castle
Mm-hmm.
pin was one of them, and it's clearly different. You can put it side by side and know these are different. And that was the first thing that people started throwing up on social media. Well, I just got this out of a foil pack.
Yeah.
No, yes, that is a real Disney pin.
And if you also look at the other thing I don't think was pointed out enough was the FAC numbers on the backs of most of those are different. They're different than the ones that were being traded for on the boards. So there were two different factories that were making the in-park pins and the foil pack
Wow,
pins.
I did not know that.
So that's a big piece of it that I don't think gets talked about is Disney has multiple factories that they're working through. So that can be, you're going to have quality control issues. There's no way that there's not going to
Oh,
be
sure.
something here and there. So I think that you could definitely tell the printing on like the screen printing, the one was completely screen printed and then the other one is not screen printed.
Right.
It's like a metal imprint and then painted over.
Yeah.
So there is definitely a major difference, but they're both real. It's almost like a variant, of that one at that point, like
And I'll agree
in-park
with you.
variant.
And I will agree with you. Back then in the 2000s, that wasn't we didn't have that concern.
Nope.
That was I can tell you, I can look at this wall here that I have my frames on. I'm like, okay, how do I just? And everybody says, is every pin on your frames, are they all real? And you know what? They're real to me.
Yep.
How do you know what you want to trade? Whatever pin makes you smile, whatever brings you joy, go trade for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're collecting just Mickeys and hidden Mickeys, but you see something that's not a hidden Mickey, maybe you see one of the new Marvel pins and you like Spider-Man, then trade for it.
I've always said if it's going to be in your personal collection and it gives you happiness, it doesn't matter one way or the other.
Katie had a good question.
Yeah.
Is one of the Haunted Mansion Castle pins more valuable to more sought after than the other one?
Right now, no. There is no difference in price between the two. It's just a very clear, almost like I said, a variant. Like the in-park one is definitely a variant compared. And they're noticing the same in the Wave Bs that have just come out. The Orange Bird Cupcake is having the same issues. where it's too clearly different. You can see if somebody's like there's, I don't know, but there's two different, like one's like a printed and then one is imprinted and then painted over.
So now
So
I have to
there's
get both because I want to collect the whole cupcake because I'm a baker. I'm a baker. I want to collect them.
it's a beautiful set, but it's one of those that people are noticing those. And I mean, you look back at, I think it was 2022 where the Mickey heads on the back didn't go all the way to the back. You know,
Right.
the pattern was cut off, and that's a telltale sign of a fake pin. So I get that question a lot in the group, is this fake? And then it's like it's the Avenger A, but the pattern never went on every single one of those. I don't know, it was in their stamping process. It cut off the border, but they're all real. So that's where you're going to run into an issue. Hopefully that they never like start faking those ones, because that's when you're going to that's when you'll really run into an issue.
Jordan Disney. Hey, Jordan, how are you? Jordan Disney's Adventure says, I'm still trying to hunt down a D23 Sorcerer Mickey pin. Wow.
The sorcerer that pin escalated quickly. I got, I actually got a collection of D23 and that I'm bringing to the big pin event, along with all the stuff from the 25th anniversary. But I got 3 Figment stamps. I was hoping to try and trade a Figment stamp for the Sorcerer Mickey stamp. So I got to see what I can do, because I got lucky with somebody who had a whole family go to D23, and they were like, I have way too much, and this escalated too quickly. And I got a whole bunch of stuff in, but I'm bringing it to just trade at the pin event. That's not even going to whatnot.
So this question, and we talked about it before we came on, and I'm going to ask it anyway. Um, does excitement for pin collecting and trading spill over into your family, and do they share that same passion with you?
Um, at a point they did, and I think the kids get to a certain point where, you know, they have different likes. Dad got into it a little too much, so I think if I wasn't in it as much as I am, they would probably be more into it. Julie's definitely into it. You know, she's right there with me. But you know, when you look at, I have 3 kids, and each one of them has stuff they've collected. They still have their boards in their room, but they haven't added to the boards in forever. I will say, except for Lizzie. Lizzie steals all the Phineas and Ferb pins. Whenever I get something, if they don't have if Lizzie doesn't have the Phineas and Ferb, she'll take my Phineas and Ferb pins. But past that, it's they've kind of they've kind of fallen off of it. It's just, I think if I wasn't in it so much, they probably maybe would have been into it a little bit more. But they all 3 have stuff that they have collected, and they still have those pins. And I think to a point, it's a core memory thing. And I maybe hope at one point in time, maybe it'll click back on for them. I think that's wishful thinking at this point, but but you never know.
Well, and if not, though, they can take that and learn what they've learned from you about it, and then maybe it will be a different item or a different product or something else that
Yeah,
they'll take that much passion that you have in this.
I always pop quiz my youngest when it comes to fake pins, and she's still good.
Right.
I like to quiz her every once in a while.
Let's jump to now. Okay, so I shared that you have pin events locally here in the Orlando area. Um, what upcoming releases or events are you most looking forward to?
The biggest pin event to ever be held in the entire world, and it's not a Disney run event. It's run by us and GoPin Pro, and it's a co-hosted event, September 21st. It's the table layout. Julie has completed the table layout. As you can see, the featured vendors on the bottom there. It's some of the best in all of pins, and it's sponsored by Whatnot, which is amazing. They'll be there wandering around talking to people, but the it's something that kind of grew out of an idea from when we were running. We ran one event, then we ran bi-monthly events. Next year, we're going to an event every month. So I'm excited about that also. You know, we're going to a new venue, a bigger venue, And but this event is something special. It's one of those, when the video comes out, and it's going to be one of those moments of where people are going to be like, "Dang, I wish I would have went." And I'm excited. I'm excited for what we got coming down. It's free to get in, free admission, free parking, no charge whatsoever to anybody to come in, and it's 270-ish tables of pins.
Oh, where the number is now, 270.
It's about 270. We're right in
Woo!
that we're right in that ballpark right now, and I'm excited because it's just going to be massive, and it's going to be fun. But it's a 33,000 square foot arena, and one of the compliments that I got, that I think of planning this whole thing, and kind of going through this whole thing, is they asked, how did you and GoPin Pro, how did you guys rent out an arena and keep it free? And that's the thing that we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. Like, I am passionate about keeping my events free. There is nothing that cast members can do here in Orlando besides maybe go to the park with their ticket and do for free, and have a whole day to just have fun and pin trade and walk around. There's nothing that they can do, and they bring the magic every day. And if I can literally pay them back a little bit, or even just the people in the community pay them back a little bit for coming and enjoying it, it's worth it at that point. And so I will never, unless something changed where there was no way I could get by with doing it for free anymore, I would figure out a way. I'd figure out something different, raffles or whatever it may be, but we would figure out a way to keep it free. Um, and that's the thing, is like, I'm excited because it's never been done. And I feel like last year we had 150 tables at our big event after the Disney event. We had 150 tables, and it was busy nonstop. And we took all of the, I won't say criticism, but we'll take all of the feedback that we got. And parking was an issue at the last place. It's an arena parking lot. There's spots for everybody. You couldn't hear when we were doing, like, on the mic, because we only had two speakers set up. It's the whole arena, and it's a wireless microphone that we can talk over. Food was only out for 2 hours. Food's out for the entire day in the concession stands.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I'm glad we were able to take kind of the feedback that we got and plus the event at that point. Just plus it, make it better. And so I'm excited for everyone to see what the hard work is done, because we put in a lot of hard work on this, and I don't think people realize how much we put into it. But I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. And then, ramping into next year, we have an event November 8th. That's our last event for this year for just Figment Guy pins. And then we ramp into next year where we're going every month. And I'm excited for it. This gives me a chance to see people every month. So I'm ready for it.
I think that's going to be fantastic. I've been promoting this event probably for the past 3 months, since I found out about it. Since I started going to pin shows, and then I found out about it, I'm like, oh my gosh! And then I talked to you, and then contacted you, and then because I'll be at that event also. I'll have two tables there at that event also. And again, it's one of these things where the people that you meet, and you've been having, again, I had never gone to a pin show, but you've been trading in the parks, trading at Epcot. Your friend group of pin traders must be just huge. And then somebody said, Molly said,
I didn't even talk about that. But yes, we have an event next year in Cleveland, Ohio. The mall that I actually started working in as a store manager for Sears is the mall that we're going to be hosting a pin event, July 24th and 25th. Great Northern Mall. It's right next to the airport. We've already got a ton of the vendors that come to all of our events are coming on a road trip with us, and we're all going to go up to Cleveland. They've been trying to get events. Pinpix is local to Cleveland. So they've been trying to get things to go, and I think it would be a good ramp up for them to maybe start doing bi-monthly events or monthly events up in the Ohio area, because there's definitely a need for it. So
Are you involved in the one in Las Vegas next April?
we are not, because with us doing monthly events, there was I next year is going to be rough as far as, just since we're doing monthly events, I'm going to be in, besides the Ohio trip, we're going to be in Florida for the whole year next year. So it's one of those events that if I can break away and go to it, I really would. There's a couple of different events that I really would love to go to, but with the kids still in college and everything and school and all that stuff, some of that stuff is hard to break away for. So I wish I could do a little bit more with that kind of stuff, but unfortunately, I think my hands are tied with staying in Florida at least until one or two of the kids get out of college.
I can understand that, most definitely. Well, Richard, the plethora of information that you've brought to this community, to my viewers and to your viewers, and and understanding how excited we are about what we do here, and how we do it, and how we pin trade, and how we have, and if anybody's ever worn a lanyard around their neck with more than 20 pins on it, halfway through the day it gets really heavy.
Mhm.
So Go Pin Pro has been amazing with the products that they've come out with.
Yes.
I mean, I have one, and I think everybody should have one.
Yes.
It makes pin trading faster. Because you don't have to take
It
the backs
definitely
off.
has. Yeah, it definitely has. Change the game as far as like the books, and you even look at the Disney pin books that they used to have. You pin it through, and if you didn't have locking backs on, they're falling off, whatever it may be. So it's kind of changed the game as far as all that goes,
It
and I
has.
think it's definitely enhanced it. I used to go with a lanyard. Now I'm walking with a wristlet or a pinfolio show where I can show some of my pins
Sure.
and then keep all my traders on the inside. So it's definitely changed the game.
It is. It's one of the when I went to my first play, when I went to see them the first time, I had told you about that
Mhm.
before we came on. I was looking around, and I was like, wow, because that's the first time I'd ever been there. And I'm like, I've seen these, everybody's carrying these around the parks.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay. And then I just started talking to one of the girls. She says, let me show you. And then she showed me, and it was amazing. I was like, okay. So I went back like 2 weeks later, and I got one, and I got a wristlet, Gotta say, I got
Yeah, it's for trading in the parks. It's the best one to have.
the small one. I love it. One other thing I thought of when I was talking to you as we're wrapping this up, and you said you were a manager at Sears.
Mhm.
Now, my brother-in-law was a manager at Sears. I have Craftsman tools. And the reason I have Craftsman tools is because of Sears. And it's because what you had said, talked about, your card that you send out with, and if you're a first-time buyer through Whatnot, you get a discount on your next order. And Sears did the same thing, but they did it in telling you, if you're not satisfied with our Craftsman product, you break it, it doesn't meet your expectations, you can bring it back. We'll give you another screwdriver. If your screwdriver breaks, we'll give you a new one. You
Mhm.
just bring the old one. If you don't like it, we'll give you something in comparison to that. And that was their motto for years. For years.
I worked for him for 16 years. It's a piece of that lives with me forever, and it was a company that, while we were a young family that struggled, it's we struggled when we were younger. We were a young family with young kids, and every day was, I was a salaried manager working 80 hours a week, not getting to see my family as much as I wish I could. But you had to do what's best for the family, and you had to do what's best for everything. So it installed a work ethic that I don't think I would have gotten any other way. Number one, and number two, I think it really kind of installed me that when you really put your mind to something, if you want to do it, you can do it. And whether it's in the pin community or whether it was at work or even just going for a promotion or whatever, like if you're passionate about something and that passion comes through, people will see it. And I hope that people get that I am passionate about this. I enjoy talking about. I hope you get the impression I enjoy talking about that. I could probably talk to you. Me and Chris we could probably sit here for about 6 hours and just talk about pins,
Sure.
and it would be great. But it's one of those where I hope people realize it's whether no matter what it is that installed a passion in me to want to do better and for my family or whatever it may be. And pins the same thing. Like we've grown this community, and I know I've played a part in it, a small part, but like I'm proud of that, and I hope other people are proud of the contribution that they're bringing on a daily basis. Are you a positive force in a community? Because if you aren't, maybe it's not for you. But if you're going in there and you know that you're doing what's best for the community, you're doing what's best for your family, you can't lose.
Oh, that's a great way to look at that, because it's family first. It's always family first, and you do that for your family. But what you're also doing is you're teaching, which I really like. You don't hold back. I mean, you see something different. It's literally on your Instagram. Your Instagrams of seeing how you're editing on your Instagram when you're going up to the boards and you go ding, 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 ding. And I think the other one, I think I counted like 5. You had 5 good pins on one good board. And you said, yeah, that's a good board. Right. But like anything else, if we can go out and teach and be sincere, like you said, this is who you see. This is Chris. This is Richard. This is who you see. You go to a pin show, this is who you're going to see. You see us in the parks, this is who you're going to see. Same voice, same character. I act a little crazier at the parks. I have to admit, I go in, I go underneath that train station. I turn into a 7-year-old kid. That's just me. It's my feeling. And that's why I enjoy pin trading so much. I'm glad it's come back with a passion. I'm glad it's come back, which it's birthed a new generation of pin traders. This 25th
Yes.
anniversary. It really has. Because coming out of COVID, there were a lot of ifs with pin
There
trading.
really was. If it was even going to be as much of a thing in the parks, and the fact that it's at the point that it's at, and it continues to grow on a daily basis is amazing. Like it is amazing. So I'm ecstatic for it. And I'm excited to see where it can go.
Well, Richard, again, I appreciate your time coming on. Thank you so much. I look forward to the 21st and seeing what amazing things are going to happen there, and just being part of it. I think I'm going to enjoy being part of it. And hopefully, if that goes well for me, then maybe you'll see me on a monthly basis.
I hope so.
Well, again, I appreciate your time. Everyone, thank you so much. All my moderators, all my members, all my subscribers, everyone, all my Ninja watchers. Thank you all so much. All the new people that came in. Thank you so much for being part of this. Share this out. Just if anything else, if you collect pins, somebody collects pins, share this video out to them. And in the descriptions in this video are all of Richard's, his Instagram, his Facebook, and his whatnot. Check him out. Understand what he does. Get in that Facebook group, right?
Yes.
Get into that Facebook group. 119,000 people. Can't be wrong. You get that many people talking about pins, they'll guide you down the right way. So, Richard, I appreciate it. Everyone else, KDY, thank you so much. Jason, Molly, thank you so much for being here. Debbie Bernfeld, all my moderators. I'm Chris the Disney Baker, and I close the same way all the time. TTFN, ta-ta for now. Peace, love, and pixie dust hugs. And pixie dust hugs will have to do until we meet in person. I'm Chris the Disney Baker, and my friend Richard. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.